test. Gotta see how loudly I can talk.
Hi, hello, welcome.
Smile like that.
It's a regular smile.
Okay.
It's crystal clear, we've been for years, struggling straight along the way, but having you by my side makes everything okay. We're watching video clips of all types of laughing out loud, we really hate this crowd, and we don't know where to go, hopefully take it slow. Lots of hustler minds will reject the decline, our approach to life and that, well that's just fine. We wanna let others live because it's none of our business. We press your chest upon our mess. There's so many minds, hey, I'd like to align. See beyond this place, we want a part of this race. We do what we can, you better tough out, man. You're about to pass out or get a pick for the cloud. Why is it so hard out here? They made it so weird. Try to stay woke and humble and joke. It's f***ing hard out here.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome back.
We're back.
The podcast.
I have to watch the video. Probably shouldn't have that in my mouth. On a wonderful Wednesday morning. Still in, I don't know, a state of panic and survival. I don't know. You got a job, so that's cool.
I got a real job.
I didn't put enough cream in it. Dang it. It's too hot.
Is it?
Yeah, I burned myself.
I'm sorry. That sucks.
So I like a lot of cream in my coffee, so I don't have to wait for it to cool down. And also, it just tastes better because coffee is disgusting. It's a nice treat. I do enjoy it, but at the same time, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
Man.
I have learned to like that bitter taste. Sometimes I can go without cream. But I also enjoy being able to drink it right away. So lattes are definitely better.
Even I've had
go-to.
lattes before, and those still.
Oh yeah, because they steam the milk.
And yeah, it's still super hot, and I can't drink it right away.
Oh, you gotta tell them kid temp, remember? We learned that
No, I
recently.
refuse to use that sort of language. Sorry, I have to keep blocking people's faces. I was hoping that no one would be here, considering it was a weekday. And when we got here, it was empty. But now there's people here. It's one of the reasons why we stopped recording here, because I'd have to blur out people's faces. And it was too much editing for me. Too much time spent
Yeah.
in the editing room. I swear, man.
You know, I really fell in love with dirty chais, though. And I will gladly say kid temp on those. They never do it, though.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
They always forget kid temp.
Forgot I said that. I was just rambling because, you know, we're recording. And I have like all these other things going on through my head right now.
Yeah. Just keeping up appearances.
So we're in another sort of little situation with living situation. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're hoping that we can get a house together, not even own a house.
No,
we're still going to be
renting.
renting probably forever. I don't think we'll ever own a house.
Yeah.
It's just so expensive, and like, given the line of work we're in, we're not really motivated to excel in those fields necessarily.
Yeah, and I don't want to be spending that much over a lifetime, especially on these houses that aren't even built well. They don't, oh my gosh. They're just terrible.
Did it just?
I think it did.
Yeah.
I bet
So-
that looked funny. So yeah,
The
we're
way
gonna
the
keep
what were we saying?
renting.
Something about the structures of the homes?
Yeah, they're so terrible, and we're gonna spend close to millions of dollars over a lifetime to buy something that's of terrible quality and then work on it the entire time in order to make it of decent quality, maybe.
Yeah, I've recently even heard the idea that like, I mean, I think it's within like conspiracy theory circles, but they suggest that, you know, even buying a home is a scam, really. That was like a very recently invented thing too, around like the 1950s or something like that, where it's just another like central banking system scam.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Because we never really own the homes necessarily. You know, it always belongs to the state,
Yeah,
no matter
because
what.
I was going to say, no matter what, you can always lose it.
Yeah, and then it's always on the state's land. You know, it's
Yeah.
not necessarily your land.
Yeah.
I guess so. The way to go would be to purchase your own land, right? But
Yeah, but even then, you don't know if there's like something in your ground because you don't.
At least in
of
Texas,
times, yeah, you don't get to have the mineral rights or the
own
water
mineral,
rights.
Yeah, you don't have mineral and water rights. Yeah, it's just crazy. You know, just that like, who decides these things and who like allows it? You know, it's so weird that we operate in that fashion of like. I mean, essentially, it just comes down to whoever has the guns, right? Those people that are pointing the guns at you are saying, "Oh, you can't own this because we own it."
Yeah.
And now you have to pay us for it. They're essentially gangs, right? Because that's
Yeah.
what gangs do. They go around town, go to stores, and be like, "Hey, if you want our protection, you have to pay us monthly. Otherwise, we're gonna attack you."
Yeah.
Yeah. So now the governments and armies and all that are nothing but big gangs. They're just hilarious.
Yeah.
Because we look down on those sort of organizations. In our society, we say, "Oh, those are bad people," and like governments do the exact same thing. It's
Yeah.
hilarious.
It is horrible.
They offer protection, though. It's like, yeah, so do the gangs. I don't know. Our clothes are ready though to be put into the dryer, so we'll be right back. Okay, and we're back. Clothes are in the dryer now. What were we talking about? Governments or gangs?
Yeah. But all that to say that it is so difficult trying to go from one lease to another
Oh yeah.
whenever the time frame is tight.
Yeah, well, it's not even tight. It's just not practical. They don't make it possible. We have to give the landlord that we're currently under, because we live in two separate apartments right now. We each have the same landlord, though. And her lease is up a little earlier in the year, and mine is up at the end of the year. And we had tried to apply for a house to rent, but we went through this company that does all of their processing online, and they reached out to our landlord and asked, have we given notice of vacancy or have we given notice of early termination on the lease, which we did neither, because we're just trying to see if we can even get approved for this spot.
Yeah.
And it is before the time that we have to give her notice of vacancy for her apartment, since
Yeah.
hers ends before. And we had discussed it amongst ourselves, said, okay, we're just going to have to pay overlapping costs. Like, that's the
Yeah.
only way we can really see this working out, is that we're going to pay three rents for a month or two, and then I would be paying 2 rents for 6 months, essentially. And so we just went for it, and then so the landlord obviously is now aware that we had done that, and she was very confused, understandably so. So we're trying to like communicate with her now and let her know like what's going on, letting her know that we have no intentions of leaving without notice or trying
Or
to
break the
lease.
lease,
Yeah, because we would much rather just finish it off, because breaking the lease costs so much more than.
And it's bad on your rental history.
Yeah, and then like renters don't. Yeah, they look down on that sort of behavior. But I mean, like, honestly, I think I know I have one of the cleanest records ever. I'm sure your record
It is
fine now. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and like, I would assume most people out here aren't doing the things that they're supposed to be doing, because there are terrible people out there that don't care what happens to their record or what they put their landlords through. Just like leaving the property or
Yeah.
leaving it a mess at that. On top of that, because I've just heard horror stories of
Yeah, for
situations like that where apartments, homes, whatever, are just left completely thrashed, and people just got up and left. There's like trash inside everywhere. There's water damage everywhere. Like they never let the landlords know about anything. And, anyways, so it just sucks, because like I try so hard to do the right freaking thing, and like these things still happen, you know, no matter what.
Yeah, and it set off like a dumb chain reaction of like confusion, and we still are going to continue like looking for something and letting our landlord know like this is the possibility. It's still like they don't get what we're trying to say.
It doesn't seem like it. There seems to be a communication issue, language barrier issue. But, you know, we wanted to meet in person. We emailed them, and they're bad at getting back to us, you know, whether it be through email or through text message. They seem to take a long time. And, you know, there's little that we can do. I don't think renters have many rights, if any, here in Texas. Landlords have all the say in how things go. But we had emailed her trying to tell her, like, hey, let's get together so we can discuss these things so there's no, you know, misunderstandings, because one of the text messages that she had sent implies that she feels like we were expecting her to go ahead and accept it and say that, oh yeah, they did give us notice of vacancy or to vacate or whatever, and you know, we're not expecting that at all, and I want to make that very clear, and I think the best way to do that would be in person, but you know, I tried text messaging that to her. I don't think she's getting it. She doesn't understand. And I'm like,
We have sent such detailed messages.
And I literally told her, this is why, in another text message, I was like, this is why I'd much rather get together in person to discuss these things. So there's no miscommunication and there's no misunderstanding. And we're not trying to blame anyone for anything. You know, we realize what we're doing is not like orthodox, I suppose, but at the same time, you know, I take full responsibility for not thinking to communicate with her prior to anything. Sure, I was worried that she was going to take that as we are definitely vacating, and then we'd have nowhere to work.
Yeah, because if we don't find anywhere, then we can't we'd have to release. And I don't know if she understands that.
Yeah, I have said it a few times now. I'm like, look, this is the concern. It's like, we don't want you to take this as we are definitely vacating, because we don't know if we are or not. We don't even know if we're approved yet. We don't know if we're gonna get approved. And that's the problem with this system. They give you, they want 90 days notice. Most places want you to move in the next week. A lot of places want you to move in the next month. And it's like, how am I supposed to do that when I'm still living at this other place? There's always going to be that overlap.
You literally cannot look ahead, you know, and be like, oh, well, this is going to be available at this time, because a lot of times they're not putting it out that far in advance.
Yeah. And then when they do put it out, it's like first come, first serve. Like people just take it up, you know.
Yeah. And we were third in line for this house, actually.
Yeah. That's another thing.
And so we were like, okay, well, let's try to get all of our information in as quickly as possible. And then, you know, even getting approved or getting information from our workplaces or our banks to show that we're capable of, you know, paying for this location.
Yeah. And I don't know, I think I would not be surprised that these companies are so SHITTY that they don't care who actually applied first, second, or third. It's who pays first.
Yeah.
Once you're approved, whoever pays first, I'm sure they're going to give it to that person. And that's the ugly nature of the business. And it's just so inhumane. Like, I mean, these things are so frustrating. No. Just living in this society. I know it's so much worse in other places. I get that. But come on, like.
Yeah, we're just talking about our experience.
We seem to pride ourselves, at least on a superficial level, on certain values and principles that we uphold, you know, with high esteem, and yet we don't practice them, and that is extremely frustrating to me. I was raised with a certain view on the world and how to be in the world, and you know, when I became an adult, I came to find out, oh yeah, people are terrible, right? And I kind of always knew that a little bit, but it's just like, it is so rampant, and it's frustrating. Like, we even have government organizations that uphold these same values and principles, and they speak so highly of them, and they try to portray that on television or online or whatever else. It's all BS. It's all bull. And that frustrates the hell out of me.
Yeah.
I hate it with a passion.
Yep. Everyone's just looking out for their own
And that's
not much of a
fine to
community.
do. Yeah, that's the thing. There needs to be a sense of actual community and like understanding and compassion. It's just like, and there's none of that. That's all just
No, they just keep us all separate
out the window.
and against each other and struggling.
Yeah.
There's no sense of care. And like you can care. I think even religion attempts to touch on that, is to care for your neighbor or whatever, but only if they're like with the Lord.
Sometimes, yeah, in some sects or branches of religion in general, yeah, they'll be like, oh, you're not supposed to mingle with the heathens, essentially. There will be some that outright state that you can't, like, that you should be, I don't know, either trying to get rid of the people that don't worship the same God as you, or, you know, don't treat them as human, or whatever the case, whatever else, I don't know. But yeah, it's just so frustrating, y'all, but
It is very frustrating.
we're here, we're doing it, we're queer, and
Oh, I don't know if we talked about this on the podcast. We both had major injuries that we're recovering from.
oh yeah, on top of that, all,
Yeah.
pubis osteotitis. Osteotitis.
Is it? I haven't looked up how to pronounce it.
I think it's osteotitis.
Oh, yeah.
I looked at it like, yeah, for a while, and I was like, osteotitis. And I believe titus indicates like a immediate sort of pain.
Really?
Titus, anytime you see the suffix.
Osteotitis
Pubis osteotitis, whatever it is, yeah.
So the cartilage joint that is in between your left and right pelvis, so just right in the middle there, is weak for me. And I think I've had this since like high school. But I did notice it during pregnancies, which is like, I think, one of the more common ways people get this condition. And then I just never addressed it. And I was doing a simple exercise, kind of. What's with the face?
Focus. You're telling
couldn't.
a story.
Anyway, so I was moving a table from outside to inside, and I went up some stairs, and I thought that I was maneuvering correctly, like using the correct functions of my body in order to do this task. And then for the rest of the night, I just sort of started crumbling, and then I couldn't move. I stayed in bed for like, 5-6 days. And then, so I've had this pain before, but it's never put me out like this. And it's hard to describe. It's just an intense, burning, sharp, maybe crampish type feeling in your bone. And when I've experienced it before, it just kind of like makes it a little bit difficult to walk. I'm like, okay, that's tough. And then it just sort of resolves in a couple days. So I never really addressed that, which was not good because it made it so much worse. And now I can't do anything. Like, I can't lift more than 10 pounds. I can't put on my pants like one leg at a time standing. I have to brace myself. So starting over from scratch, it's possibly fixable, curable, but I have to rebuild my body, essentially.
You have to do exercises every day, which, let's get real, it's not practical.
Yeah, no. And they're the most simple things ever, like just like literally opening my leg, like down and up and down and up, like just training my body all over again from the very beginning. In order for it to work together. So that's the whole thing, is that like my body wasn't working in sync, so like my left side and right side, which makes a lot of sense. I was going to talk about this on Instagram or TikTok or something, but I've realized that, okay, so I have an issue with like not going to the bathroom, and so I always like stand on one leg and like kind of like hip out, like that have to pee stance or whatever. And I think that put a lot of pressure on my pelvis, like in an imbalance. And then as well in track and field, like running a certain way, like heavily starting on one foot always, like being on one side always. I don't know if that makes sense, but like your start position is one leg is out in front of the other. Like my power leg was a certain way. Anyway, and then also whenever I was pregnant and walking all the time, I never addressed like the pain that caused. And then afterwards, holding a baby on like one side of my body and literally using like my hip up in one way, I just like was always imbalanced and never fixed that. So it was like issue after issue after issue, but I didn't realize that. Never realized that's what it was.
So this condition is completely debilitating. She was bedridden for almost a week. She could not do anything, and that was terrifying because
I'd literally started a new job.
a bitch gotta work, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, we've discovered that unemployment or disability
It's difficult.
doesn't kick in until after a year. So you need to be disabled for a year or more in order for them to say, okay, now you qualify.
Yeah,
to
and
get
you may not
government
even get
support.
qualified.
Yeah. So it's like I don't understand that. First of all, that seems terrible, you know. So we wonder why, like, I don't know, some people might end up on the streets. I mean, that seems like a pretty likely candidate, you know. If someone gets injured and they're actually physically unable to work, what can you do? You know, what can you do?
Then you can't pay rent. You're waiting to apply for disability, even if your doctor gives you that diagnosis like right away. That's still not how the system works.
And there's such a huge failure on our society to educate people, to help one another out, and in as far as like teaching kids how to live, how to actually function in society, instead of just teaching them like, you know, the stuff that we usually go through is like obviously all the categories, right? Math, science, history, whatever, social studies. There needs to be more of an emphasis on like, hey, these are the things that you're actually going to have to do to survive. Anything else outside of that is going to be like an interest, and maybe you can hopefully make money doing that, but chances are you're not going to be able to, and you're going to have to do things that you don't like doing, and you can just you have to learn how to manage your finances responsibly. You have to maybe learn a little bit about investing, if that's the system that they're going to put in place here. Teach us how to invest in the stock market. You know, obviously that I even just saying that, I realize, oh, well, why would they want that, right? Because they're not going to benefit from it if everyone knows how to do it. So
No, you have to go to school for finance. That's the only way you'll learn about it. Unless you study it yourself.
It's a up society, and I'm pissed about it. I've always have been, honestly, since I was a freaking teenager, man. But yeah, just like living it in real time, you know, I can't even imagine what others have to go through that are actually incapable of functioning in society, you know, because maybe
Or don't have any support.
they don't have any support, no family members or friends to, you know, help guide them, you know. Like I was fortunate enough to have some basic level understanding of like how to go about these types of things, and like, so I've always been big on saving, and even then there has been moments in my life, in my adult life, where I have blown through all my savings, and that was possibly, I don't know, irresponsible of me, but I also took that opportunity to have a good time, to enjoy my time, you know, and use my money for like a trip that I thought could be fun, you know, and like I'm just not supposed to do that, right? We're just supposed to work our entire lives and be miserable and then die. Like, I'm sorry, as far as we know, this is the only life that we get, and like we get very little opportunity to actually enjoy it if you are not born into a wealthy family of affluence. And it's frustrating, it's annoying, and I get, again, there are people in much worse situations. Other countries, you know, are struggling a lot worse than we are.
We're definitely
I understand.
grateful for what we have, but it is still so frustrating that it can't be better. And it's so much worse for so many people. Like, that is infuriating.
Yeah, and that's what's not right about it. It doesn't make any of it okay, just because there are people in worse situations. And yeah, it just, I don't know. This like show that our society puts on, you know, we're like, oh, we're like wealthy and affluent and everything's fine. It's like, no, everything's not fine. It's not, unfortunately. But I guess, you know, at the end of the day, it's just like, well, that's just the way it is. And you're either going to pull yourself up by your bootstraps or crumble with the rest of them. I don't know.
Uh-huh. So tell us about your injury.
Yeah, mine was a dumb, more common injury. I tore my MCL, my medial I forgot what the C stands for, ligament. Anyways, yeah, so there's like 3 ligaments in your knees, 3 major ligaments at least, the MCL, the ACL, and the LCL. Right. Yeah, the lateral whatever something ligament, and then the anterior something ligament, and then the medial something ligament. So I tore the one that's on the side of my the medial aspect of my body. We're talking about in planes. It was a simple little technique. I was kind of sitting on my shin, right? So my knee is completely bent over like that, right? I'm sitting down on it, and I do like a little twist. And next thing you know, there's just a pop. My knee felt like it locked up, and there was like no motion available, right? And then kind of try to get around it almost. It feels like you're moving things over and around to try to get past that point of like, that point where you get stuck at. And then next thing you know, it just pop. And I was like, ooh, okay. It like hurt a little bit, but it was no big deal. Felt okay like the rest of the day. But then as the day progressed, it started hurting more, and then the next day it like swelled up, and it was just done. I remember being at work, and we have meetings, daily meetings when we first arrived there, and I was standing on it, and it just felt like it was blown up so much, and like there was no room for movement, and I was just like stuck there, and I was like, oh my god. I was like, I think I seriously injured this thing. And and since then I've just been, after that I was staying off of it, you know, to allow it to heal. And so then I got a cane, and I was staying off of it for about a month, probably with the cane. And now I'm going on 2 months, and I just started rehab like last week, doing some exercises. And I avoided going to the doctors because it's expensive. My MRIs are not covered under my insurance plan, so I was like, what's the point? I was like, I'll know, I think, in due time if I require surgery or not. It seems to be healing on its own right now, and I'm, like I said, starting the exercises at this point in time. So we'll see what happens.
We'll see.
You know, I don't know what else to do. I don't want to spend the money for an MRI if I don't have to. Just for them to tell me, oh yeah, just do exercises. Here's your referral to physical therapy. And then you have to pay physical therapy. You have to pay co-pays and whatnot. And I'm just like, I can't do that. It's not affordable. It sucks. But, you know.
Thankfully, we're capable of finding out this information. You have a huge background in exercise science. You were a personal trainer.
Yeah, but that doesn't really go that far in this situation, unfortunately.
I think it can.
I mean,
it's a good start.
The only thing it's really benefited me with is like nothing really. I don't think there is anything.
Knowing your anatomy?
No, not really.
Knowing how to maneuver?
No, because I just get that online. I just look at online and be like, oh yeah, this exercise.
No.
I guess just being involved in exercise most of my life, I do have an understanding of potentially how to perform certain movements properly. That's it. Like when I say that, I mean like I understand how they're supposed to feel, where the targets are supposed to actually be, opposed to just like going through the motion. Like a good example is like the other day I was at the park with the kids, and then one of the kids started doing pull-ups, and it was like the most terrible form, and I started thinking like, yeah, nobody actually knows how to perform the movements correctly unless they're told how
Yeah.
to do it correctly, because he was just like all limpy and just like kind of going through it, and I'm like, yeah, okay. Like I was just not.
It's a start.
I was not in the mood. No, I'm just saying
Yeah.
people need to be taught how to do the movements properly, and then you also gain a further understanding when you actually feel it, and then like, oh, that makes sense. Another example. One of the kids was swinging, didn't know how to swing properly, and I saw them, they were going through the motions, kicking their legs out, and I was like, okay, look, try this. You want to shoot out with your feet, okay? So your legs are gonna be doing the same motion, but you have to drive through, like you're gonna try to push something open and just go that way, put all your force and energy towards your feet and shoot out that way. And that was it. And then I was like, and then lean back, and really drive those feet through, lean back, and then when you're coming back, just curl up real bad, like real hard, curl up. And then, then you feel the momentum, and then it makes sense. You're like, oh, and then boom, he got it right after that. I'm like, yeah, see? So it's not just like going through the motions. You have to get like descriptive in any kind of way that, would make sense to somebody. Like, you want to feel it, like tighten up your hamstring right here at this angle, real tighten it up right there, okay, and then continue tightening it, going all the way down, and then coming up, keep it tight. Once you get to the top, then you can relax, and then squeeze it up again, and then go down, like you have to get real descriptive.
Sure. Is that how you were with your clients?
No, I was miserable back then, and I was like, this is not the job for me. I don't have the attitude and the
I really enjoyed that.
presentation.
But I think that's just something I like.
You
like
have
coaching.
presentation.
I like doing that. I was all about being like, think about it. Your mind to muscle, like you've got to focus. You can't just let your body do it, because your body will just do it. But there's a process.
Yeah.
You're gonna want to do the right process to get it to work.
Yeah, you have to really focus on all of the working parts of it and pay attention to each little mechanism at work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the only really, and then also working in physical therapy clinics, for several years. Like, I understand the structure of them. That's about it. I mean, I don't know.
So, like, this lady told me that when she got diagnosed, her doctors didn't give her even a plan for rehab, and I just thought that was wild.
Yeah.
Or like whenever I went to go get checked out, because we were like, okay, what do we do? The lady that was there, she was like, oh, I know what you're going through, and then didn't tell me anything.
That's it.
I just thought that was so funny.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, do you still have it?
Yeah. And what else?
And she's like, no. I'm like, okay, and then?
It was mind blowing. I get it. People are tired. They're exhausted. Sure, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another thing, is that this condition that you have isn't well understood.
Yeah, it's pretty rare.
Or at least not. There's no attention on it. Like nobody has gone through the work to see what it works in as far as like rehabilitating that area.
Yeah. Yeah, which is interesting.
Because it's not common.
No, it's not. And I thought that was funny that at first I thought it was just like a pregnancy thing, because that was the first like...
That makes sense.
Yeah, the thing that I saw, because it's like so much pressure on your pelvis, but it's also a soccer, track and field, high level athlete
athletics,
thing.
Any athletics,
Yeah, just like working on your movements.
Just an imbalance, improper execution of movements.
I've torn my left hamstring 3 times, so I mean, like, I'm not balanced.
Yeah. And that's another thing, it's just like, there's not enough, I don't know, motivation, I guess, or emphasis on like, hey, we need to discover new things, or we need to explore new areas. And a lot of times when people do explore new areas, especially within academic circles, they will get shut down.
Oh, yeah.
And they will be discouraged, and that's just not the way it's supposed to work, which blows my mind, like the guy that does knees over toes, for example, right? He was constantly told like, hey, you're not supposed to do knees over toes. And he had severe knee injuries at a very early age.
Yeah.
And I hope his story's true, because oh my God.
I know.
Now that Huberman's been put on blast, it's just like, oh my God, what else is going on?
Telling the truth.
Anyways, yeah, like he said that he did his own research, or his own study, and he like looked at all of the peer-reviewed research on the the issue, and he discovered, oh, this only happened because of, I don't know, this sort of thing that occurred at this time, and
Yeah.
then this situation is very specific, and that, but everyone took it and ran with it, and now it's
Yeah.
become like commonplace, or it's become the standard method. And he's like, but it's wrong. Same thing with like the carnivore diet. You know, there's people, educated folks who went in looking into it. They looked into the peer-reviewed research, and they're just like, oh, this study was done this way,
Yeah.
and it was actually conducted by this company, so that's the kind of suspicious, and you know, like all
Oh,
these
yeah.
sorts of things, they just come up, and it's like, wow. Like, what else are we doing that is complete BS, or
Yeah.
or just not maybe 100% accurate? You know, like,
Because it's just furthering someone's agenda because
Yeah.
they wanted to become the well-known whatever for this whatever.
yeah, it's unfortunate. It's sad. Graham Hancock's work, for another example. You
Yeah.
know, he's a journalist, sure, but like an investigative journalist, and like a good one who looks into these things and talks to experts, talks to different experts, and like he's like, you know what, this story that we've been told about our history
Yeah.
as a species seems to be slightly inaccurate or just wrong. And then, but then people get carried away, and they're just like, well, they're lying to us. It's like, maybe they
Yeah.
just have it wrong too. You know, maybe they don't know
Yeah.
either.
Just take it a little bit at a time. When
Yeah.
you want to know things, don't like tell everyone they're completely wrong.
Yeah.
Just work on it.
But then, and then, so then again, like all these individuals that I've mentioned bring this information, these newly discovered things to the academic community, and they're just like, no, you're crazy.
Oh, they're laughed away.
Yeah.
Like
They're just like
made
discouraged.
to be fools.
Just like test it. Test it. See if it holds up to scrutiny. That's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to just be like, no, that's absurd.
Yeah.
You're wrong. And that's that. You know, that is the definition of like the Dunning-Kruger effect, which I know the left has used adamantly against the right, especially in times of like COVID and like elections and things like that, you know? So, I mean, come on, don't be so
Yeah.
hypocritical.
It's been pretty heavy, especially with these past few years about how like, you know, science is strict and it's like you're not following the science, but I don't know.
And it's like,
been
no, yeah,
difficult.
we are, they are following the science. They're just not agreeing with your conclusions. But that's how like science is supposed to work. There's supposed to be disagreements, and then you're supposed to figure out who's right, instead of just like acting like playground children saying like, nuh-uh, you're wrong, nuh-uh, you're wrong. Like, you're actually supposed to do the investigation, do the
Yeah.
work, and see who's right and who's wrong.
Keep working.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I
Yeah.
mean, adults just acting like children. And I mean, I guess, you know, more and more it just makes more sense to me. I'm like, yeah,
It
we're
does.
children.
Yeah.
There's like, gosh, I get so pessimistic. I'm just like, ugh, there's no hope.
No, I mean, not with this setup. I just feel like we could be doing so much better for ourselves, so much better for humans if like we were just like a better community, teaching better skills, teaching real things.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like obviously we've lost our way. Look at how we live. It's so weird.
I don't even know if we've ever had a way. Like, I think this has always been the way, no
I
matter
guess.
what. Like, humans are just ridiculous and unreasonable and violent.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. We're all needy and unfair. Frustrating.
Irrational, impulsive.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I guess this is our way. This show that we're trying to do is our way of like trying to maybe be part of a world that we would like to see, you know? Because we have no other outlets, we have no other way of like implementing that in our lives, in our day-to-day lives. We both work for companies that, you know, have strict rules and standards, and we have to abide by those rules and standards. Otherwise we lose our, what is it? Our income, our
Yeah.
wait,
Our
what's
job
the,
stability.
yeah, no, what's the phrase people use? It's very common. It's completely slipping my mind. Not way of life, but like our
Oh, I don't know. I'm terrible at those. I'm also terrible.
no,
at
it's
recalling.
one wow, it's completely slipping my mind. Okay, I guess we shouldn't spend too much time on that.
Yeah.
But you know, their sources of income, right? The thing that's keeping them alive, the thing that they're able to use to
Livelihood?
survive. Livelihood, thank you, Jesus Christ. It's so frustrated.
I know.
Yeah, we have to maintain our livelihood. You know, that's how it is. And
Go for your dream. Live in your car. Be homeless.
I mean, yeah, that's what it seems like it takes, is that if you're single, you have no obligations, then that's when you can do the work that is required of like trying to make a difference, at least in your own life, or maybe on a little bit of a bigger scale.
I don't know. Maybe we're just big whiny babies and y'all have the answer. Let us know.
Well, I don't know. I think we've gone too far. We've come too far in our lives now that things get harder the older you get, because there's more responsibilities that you acquire, you accumulate over the years, right?
Yeah.
Like you have children, and there's no way that you can just go and F off and do whatever you want because you have two other human beings that are dependent on you for their survival.
Yeah.
You know, and now I've become a part of that as well, and like they are also now dependent on me in other ways, right? Because I'm implementing a sense of discipline and responsibility in them and structure, right? And I need to be there for that.
Yeah.
Because if I'm not, then that will go out the door. Like
Yeah.
we've gotten some footing in that department already, and like I want it to stay.
Yeah.
And I need to keep that momentum going.
Yeah.
Like I am now responsible for them. Like I am in deep, you know? And that's just how it is,
Yeah.
you know? And like,
Yeah.
So-
that is, I mean, I've had so many things pop up in like my For You page or Explore, and it's all like, we decided we were tired of this, so we sold our home and everything we have in it, and we're on the road and we're living life different. And I'm just like, what?
yeah, no, and our situation does not allow for that.
I know, we don't
can't.
have a home to sell to be all like, oh, we have this equity now.
Even when I was single, you know, on my own essentially, I still had a cat that I had to consider, and I always considered the cat. I was like, I would be fine. I mean, I think I would be fine, like being homeless, just living on the streets, trying to figure it out, whatever.
Yeah.
But I was like, I can't do that to the cat. I need to have a home for the cat.
Yeah.
Like that was one of the main reasons why I never just like said F it and like quit my job and
Yeah.
figured it out, you know? Or like tried to save up a bunch of money and see how long I could last with that amount of money. Just like, yeah, living in the car or something, you know? I couldn't do that to the cat. And that's just how it is. You know, I got the cat when I was 16, 17, and she's been with me ever since.
Yeah.
I'm 34 now, like, yeah. That's just what it is. And I know there are lots of people out there that would not accept that responsibility.
Yeah.
They would have gotten rid of the cat.
Oh,
They
yeah,
would
for
have left it somewhere, given the cat to someone
Or
else.
not
or whatever.
cared
Yeah.
with whatever situation
Yeah.
the cat was
But
dealing
that's
with.
not how I was raised.
Yeah.
You know, you take responsibility for your commitments
Yep.
instead of just like blowing it off and like doing whatever the hell you want, regardless of how it may affect others. And they're like, oh, it drives me crazy. That's how most people are.
Yeah.
That is how most people are.
There's a difference though, because you're not, well, you can't do it to like a fault. So like there is a way to do that, and then also you can't put yourself in such a terrible way that it's like, now I'm not surviving because I'm caring too much about others.
No,
I guess.
right, no, sure, yeah. And that's why I've always tried to maintain like some kind of a balance, right? Before it was heavily drinking. Like, that's how I would cope, you know? I was just
That's
partying
common,
all
yeah.
the time and trying to enjoy life as much as I could, you know? But obviously that leads to dark roads too.
Yes.
So I'm just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But
Good for your body.
or psyche.
Yeah, that's true.
But our clothes are ready now. Or not our clothes, we actually did our linens.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we are having fun doing the show despite our negativity. It's been great having all of y'all on, and I know we still need to reach out to the people that we have had on and like catch up with them, you know. But
Yeah, we'd love to get some more part 2s going.
Yeah.
I think
We're still-
we've only had one.
yeah, we're still just trying to get through like everyone that we've had in mind. We're trying to get their
exactly.
first appearance, you know.
I
in-
still have people that I need to reach out to that I said I would love to have you on the show and things like that. So
And on that note, it is going to be harder now because she did just start a new job, and that schedule is not compatible with mine. So
Yeah.
it looks like I might have to take days off in order to do a recording, or
Maybe.
vice versa.
Yeah.
I would prefer she doesn't take days off, because this is a new company she's working for, and I want her to be in as much good standing with them as possible.
Yeah.
Whereas I've been at my job for 5 years now, and like I can be like, hey, I'm going to take a random Tuesday off, you know.
I mean, I have that freedom, but I don't want to do it right
It's
away.
not a good look.
Yeah.
It's not a good look. Yeah.
Yeah, like, hey, I know it's my second week, but I need to take a Saturday or a Sunday off. Especially at like, you know, the industry where the weekend is everything.
Yeah. So hopefully we can work it out, or maybe just like do recordings strictly in the mornings before you go into work on the weekends.
So.
You know, we'll figure it out. We'll try to keep this going as best as we can.
Thank you so much for your patience and for still watching. We are so happy to have you.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Thanks for joining us. You know, that does mean a lot, because this is something that we've, you know, just taken up randomly, and we're just like, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
We're putting our energy into it, and we appreciate your energy back. And we feel it. We love it.
Yeah, thanks
we love
so
y'all.
much, guys. All right. See you later.
Bye.